MOTS-C, that's a really interesting peptide, an unusual class that actually doesn't come from the nucleus, the normal chromosomes that we talk about, but from the mitochondrial DNA in mitochondria. And up until about 10 years ago, we thought that there were only 13 genes encoded in the mitochondrial genome, and there are now about 100 known. And MOTS-C is probably the best characterized of those. There's another one called humanin as well. MOTS-C, when injected into mice, lowers blood sugar levels, increases mitochondrial activity, gives you the signatures of long life, probably promotes life. There's some evidence of that, and has been in humans. In fact, there's a clinical trial that was just released, the results of which showed that it reduces fat in the body and improves fatty liver, which are, again, signatures of potential longevity. Almost certainly, but we don't know enough yet to say for sure that these are perfectly safe or will increase lifespan. A lot less is known about these peptides than testosterone or growth hormone. Yeah, BP157 is one of the more popular ones. It's been used to increase blood flow, lower inflammation, and even regenerate neurons for cognitive ability. But there are lots of others. There's one called SS31, which targets the mitochondria and improves mitochondrial function, could seem to be good for the heart, maybe for longevity. There's another popular one called GHK copper. It's part of a copper complex. It was first identified in human plasma. Later, it's found in saliva and urine. And it's been used to help wound healing, attract immune cells. It's an antioxidant, stimulates collagen, protects tissues against inflammation, can even be used, apparently, to reduce fine lines, wrinkles, and grow hair again. Most of these come from mouse studies, and then they're anecdotal from studies that clinicians are currently doing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, again, I want to stress that most of these things that we're saying are anecdotal and not yet scientifically validated. Yeah, there's one in particular, thymosin alpha-1, which has been known since the 1970s to be beneficial. It seems to be great, particularly for helping against, fighting bacteria and viral infections. But it was also listed on the banned substances in 2020. And there's a movement to bring it back because with COVID-19, it's thought that it could help. Talking about other ones, some of these work with fat loss, apparently. We've got tesamorelin, CJC 1295 is taken with one called ipamorelin. There's AOD 9604, and the BPC 157, again, can be good for weight loss, apparently. One of the other ones I mentioned, humanin, is, again, one of those mitochondrial-derived peptides like MOTS-C. And in mice, at least, it's been shown to help against type 2 diabetes, high blood sugar, cardiovascular disease, and even help with neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's. But in humans, it's not clear if that's true. Pineolon is a really interesting one. It's actually an active peptide complex, and it's been thought to treat memory, attention deficits, brain injury, stroke, chronic fatigue, etc. But again, early days, we don't know for sure if this is actually true in humans. And then finally, we should just mention there are others that are being used to combat fatigue and also boost the immune system. They go by names like dihexa, cerebrolysine, Semax, Celanc, or even BPC 157 is used with Semax and cerebrolysine together. Again, these are all pretty much experimental. They've been shown to be effective in mice, but still we have a long way to go before we know if they're truly effective in humans. And there we always need placebo-controlled, double-blind clinical studies. But I think we need to exercise some caution here because you can have these negative side effects, particularly in the case of peptides and immune reaction that could be deleterious in the long run. Oh, for sure, not all of these, of course, but those that mimic adversity, MOTS-C is a good example of one that I think has the right signature. I think they have a lot of promise.
I think the top are going to be thymulin, which is sort of the basic thymic peptide that's going to replace a lot of the thymus piece. So again, getting that right, because the thymic peptides are so critical to our immune health. And immune health is probably linked to almost every cellular disease that there is. We have to keep our immune system very healthy. So I think you have to have thymic peptides in the mix. I think BPC 157 not only has benefits for healing, it has cognitive benefits, it has benefits for glucose metabolism. It's a very far-reaching and very, very safe peptide. So thymulin, BPC, and the last one I didn't mention before is the other thing that goes away as we age is growth hormone. And keeping growth hormone levels at a reasonable level is very important to us feeling good, looking good, having good muscle. The problem with growth hormone, which is a hormone, is that if you try and just take exogenous growth hormone, it's very hard not to dose it so that you get this kind of high levels, low levels. And you look at people who are taking growth hormone over time, the old bodybuilders. Think about the old bodybuilders. You know, they had this kind of like turtle. They had this sort of weird. Yes, they looked like they had a defined belly, but sort of protruded out. The reason was because they had actually gotten organomegaly. Their spleens and livers had grown because of growth hormone. So you have to be really careful with growth hormone. So by far the better option to keep growth hormone levels up is what we call growth hormone secretagogues. And those are peptides. The most common ones are CJC and ipamorelin. Those are peptides that basically tell your own pituitary to just release, to make and release a little more growth hormone. So you can get nice physiologic levels of growth hormone, not these supra physiologic, super high levels, the physiologic levels that stay at a nice, good, healthy level as opposed to these massive dosings that are going to have some good and some harm. So I would, one of the things I do pretty consistently is 5 out of 7 days of the week, I've got my growth hormone secretagogues, thymulin I cycle on and off of, BPC I cycle on and off of. So those would be probably my three top choices. I will say I love MOT-SC as, again, a mitochondrial peptide, and I'm a huge mitochondrial advocate that we've got to keep the mitochondria healthy. And so I do think you need to cycle MOT-SC periodically or figure out some other way to get mitochondrial biogenesis. So that's the other one that I would add in. So give me four.